The clouds are hanging over Nairobi and the skies are not clear. Symbolically, there is a problem in the country. The past 2 or 3 months have brought us ever closer to destruction than ever before. Today, echoing headlines of the papers 2 days ago, I asked Raila Odinga and William Ruto to save this country. So, William Ruto and Raila Odinga, save our country. First, save our country from the international shame. Save Kenya from the shame such as the one witnessed yesterday, where a retired president, a former commander-in-chief, has to come out in what he calls in defense of his family. President Uhuru Kenyatta says, as president and the commander-in-chief of the country, he defended the people of Kenya. As a retired president, he will defend his family. William Ruto and Raila Odinga, deal with the situation that brings Kenya to the shame such as this one. William Ruto and Raila Odinga, save us the shame of having security withdrawn from Mama Ngina Kenyatta, who, as his son Uhuru Kenyatta puts it, is a 90-year-old woman. The shame of subjecting Mama Ngina Kenyatta, first lady of this country, being the wife to the founding father of this nation, and the Queen Mother being the President's mother, mother to President Uhuru Kenyatta. This is shame at an international level. William Ruto and Raila Odinga, save this country from the shame of the images carried in international media of Kenyans going for each other as if we live in the 18th century. International TV screens carrying images of children being harassed, traumatized. William Samoei Ruto, Raila Amolo Odinga, save this country from the shame of tear gas canisters being thrown into a school compound and of children collapsing under the fumes of tear gas, such as what we witnessed at New Kiumbuini Primary School in Kangemi. William Ruto and Raila Odinga, save this country the shame of the images carried on TV, both local and international, of bleeding Kenyans, of corpses being carried. William Ruto and Raila Odinga, save this country from the shame of the images coming from mortuaries and reports. The shame of Kenyans being hospitalized in bed with bullets, which bullets have been bought by the money from Kenyan taxpayers. Save us the pain. Save us the shame. Raila Odinga, William Ruto. Save us the shame of seeing little children being engulfed in tear gas, fumes, and smoke. Save us the shame and pain of seeing school children staying away from school because they are terrorized or because the government has asked them to stay home. The pain and shame brought to a country when we go for each other's throats over issues we can resolve on a table. Raila Odinga and William Ruto, save this country. Save this country from wasting resources that could be used better elsewhere, but which must be used because of the demonstrations. Save this country from losing jobs from investors who are living here, as we heard from President Samia Suluhu Hassan of Tanzania, that they are receiving in droves investors from Kenya, a country that is in dire need of employment for its young people. Save this country from scaring away investors. Save the businessmen of this country from the loss that runs into billions. This, the two of you can do by merely sitting together, sitting down. It is not too difficult, yet it is very necessary. It is in the nature of things that sometimes the destiny of a whole country, of a whole generation, may lie in the hands of just one person. Today we stand at that point in history and in time when, like I've said repeatedly, the destiny of this country is in the hands of Raila Odinga and William Ruto. Whether we shall have a country tomorrow to leave to our children and their children or not will depend on what the two of you do. I know on either side there are drums of war. There are people urging the two of you to maintain the hardline stand. But now this brings me to the point of this video today. If you look at history, men have refused to do the simple thing of sitting down and talking to resolve issues. Sometimes the issues have been small, minor, petty even. People have gone to war over ages in history, sometimes over something as little as fighting over a woman, of the right of who should marry who. Yet, when the guns fall silent, when the bombs are no longer being dropped, but sadly, when hundreds of thousands, even millions of people have died, the people who didn't find it necessary to talk, the people who said they wouldn't talk, sit down and talk over the bodies and graves of people. And countries must take decades to rebuild because of the destruction from our war, which if these people now sitting down had sat down initially, would not have been the case. We create small disputes, cause so much mayhem, but finally we sit down to talk. We lost lives beyond 1,300 in 2007, 2008. Over 500,000 Kenyans were displaced, and we began to call them IDPs, internally displaced persons. We saw the misery. But ultimately, Kibaki and Raila sat down. We don't want to go in that direction. I urge Raila Odinga and William Ruto to do the simplest that needs to be done. To disregard what people are thinking about you when you extend your hand to your brother. I've said this many times. I ask William Ruto to be the first to extend his hand to Raila Odinga. Because the two of you are carrying the destiny of this country. Think about your children and their children. Think about the future of this country. In any case, as I conclude, like I've said, you can sit down today and save this country, or inevitably, too bad for you, you'll be forced to sit down, bringing shame, which I want you to save this country. The shame of foreigners coming to make us sit down and sort out our problem. Or the shame of seeing Kenyans carted away like cargo to the ICC. Sit down today and talk. Because inevitably you'll talk. Talk you will. Today, Raila Odinga and William Ruto will sit in an air-conditioned room on cozy chairs. You'll be swinging in those chairs as you discuss and talk about your country. But if you leave it until it is too late, the two of you will be pushed into a room. The room will be far from being cozy. There will be no chair maybe. It will be dusty. You will sit down not on a chair, but on a dusty floor, in a stuffy room. And maybe a foreigner will be superintending over you as you sign yourself into a deal. When such a time comes, if it ever time comes, if you don't avoid it, the two of you, none of you will get half of what you can get today by sitting down. Save this country the shame of having foreigners come and put our house in order. Of foreigners coming to direct us like small little boys and girls on what to do. I beseech you. I ask you. I even beg you that the time to save this country is now. Let nobody beat their chest. Let government not think they can use force to settle this problem. It has never worked anywhere. If you think you have succeeded, it is always short-lived. Violence also begets violence. Let the opposition not think they can win over this thing. Because when this thing gets ugly, you wouldn't know the direction it will take. And therefore, the only way Raila can win this war, the only way William can win this war, is to make the people of Kenya the winner. If the people of Kenya become the winner, then both Raila Odinga and William Ruto will have won. Because senseless arguments that lead to destruction of lives and property, that may ultimately lead to the destruction of this country, will benefit neither Raila nor William Ruto. Do the simple thing, William Ruto. Extend your hand. Ignore anybody around you, behind you, and in front of you. Just extend that hand and save this, your motherland. Save this country where your grandchildren will live. And Raila Odinga, extend your hand and receive that hand from William Ruto and make your country a country you'll be proud to leave to your children and their children.